the field of infinite possibilities, stepping into the warehouse of the infinite. My friends, we stand tonight at the intersection of ancient mysticism and the cutting edge of modern science. For centuries, the masters told us that the kingdom of heaven is within, and that all things are possible to him who believes. Today, the quantum physicist looks through the lens of a microscope and says the exact same thing, though he uses a different vocabulary. He speaks of the quantum field, he speaks of probability waves. But make no mistake, he is describing the same divine architecture that governs your life, your wealth, and your destiny. To understand quantum manifestation, you must first release the primitive idea that you are a small, physical being struggling in a world of solid objects. You must realize that at the subatomic level, at the very foundation of the chair you sit on, and the skin you inhabit, nothing is actually solid. Everything is energy, everything is vibration, and most importantly, everything exists in a state of infinite possibility. This is the warehouse of the infinite, a realm where every version of your life already exists as a completed fact. The physics of the already done. In traditional Newtonian physics, we were taught that the world is a machine. If you want to get from point A to point B, you must labor, you must exert force, and you must wait for time to pass. This is the world of becoming. But in the quantum realm, the rules are different. Quantum physics tells us that subatomic particles do not exist in one single place until they are observed. Instead, they exist in what is called superposition. They are everywhere and nowhere all at once. They exist as waves of probability. Think of what this means for your life. It means that the version of you who is a multimillionaire is not a future possibility that you have to build from scratch. It is a wave of probability that exists right now, in this very room, occupying the same space as your current identity. The version of you who is radiant with health, the version who is deeply loved, and the version who has achieved every dream, they are all piled up in the same quantum field. They are not somewhere else. They are here, in the warehouse of the infinite, waiting for you to select them. You are a selector, not a creator. This is the radical shift that changes everything. You are not creating wealth. You are not manifesting a new house. The word create implies that something doesn't exist yet, and that you must use your meager human effort to bring it into being. But the Master said, the works were finished from the foundation of the world. You are a selector. Imagine walking into a vast department store. You do not go into the store to manufacture a coat. You go into the store to select a coat that has already been designed, stitched, and placed on the rack. Your only job is to pick the one that fits your desire and walk out with it. The quantum field is that department store. Every conceivable experience, every level of income, every state of being is already in stock. When you struggle, when you beg, when you pray to a distant God to give you something, you are acting as if the warehouse is empty. You are acting as if you have to convince the manager to make a special order just for you. But the warehouse is already full. The kingdom of heaven is simply the name for this field of infinite, pre-existing versions of you. You do not need to create. You only need to assume the identity of the version you have selected. The collapse of the wave. If all these versions of you exist right now, why don't you see them? Why does the bank account still look the same? This is where the observer effect comes in. In the famous double-slit experiment, scientists discovered that a quantum particle behaves like a wave, spread out in all directions, until someone looks at it. The moment an observer focuses their attention on the particle, the wave collapses into a particle. It hardens into a solid fact in a specific location. Your consciousness is the observer. Your attention is the look that collapses the wave. For most of your life, you have been observing your current limitations. You look at the bills, you feel the lack, and you talk about the struggle. By doing this, you are constantly collapsing the wave into the same old particle. You are selecting the same version of your life over and over again. To manifest wealth naturally, you must stop observing the old news of your current senses. You must turn your inner eye toward the warehouse. You must look at the version of you that is already wealthy. You must observe that probability wave with such intensity, such feeling, and such consistency that the quantum field has no choice but to collapse that wave into your physical reality. You are hardening the light into matter through the power of your focused assumption. Entering the 0-point field, to make a new selection, you must first disconnect from the old one. This is why we practice the silence. This is why we enter the state akin to sleep. In quantum terms, you are entering the 0-point field. This is the space between thoughts, the space where you are, no body, no thing, no where, and no when. When you are identified as John, who has $5, you are locked into a specific quantum coordinate. You cannot jump to a new timeline while you are still clinging to the old one. But when you close your eyes and withdraw your attention from the world of the senses, you return to the state of pure awareness. You become a quantum blank. From this 0 point you can move in any direction. You can reprogram your coordinates. You can reach into the warehouse of the infinite and pull out a completely different version of yourself. The law of quantum assumption, quantum manifestation, is not about waiting for the future. It is about non-local realization, because time is an illusion of the 3D brain. The wealthy you is not in the future. It is a frequency that is available now. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are performing a quantum maneuver. You are tuning your internal radio to the frequency of that pre-existing reality. You are saying, I no longer inhabit the frequency of lack. I now inhabit the frequency of abundance. The moment you successfully match that frequency, you are untangled with that reality. According to the law of resonance, two things vibrating at the same frequency must eventually occupy the same space. The warehouse of the infinite is not a metaphor. It is a scientific reality. Every miracle you have ever heard of was simply a person reaching into the quantum field and selecting a different probability wave. They didn't break the laws of physics. They used a higher law to override a lower one. The sovereign choice, my friends, the door to the warehouse is never locked. The Creator is not judging your request. The quantum field is impersonal and infinitely giving. It does not ask if you are worthy of wealth. It only asks, which wave are you observing? If you go to sleep tonight feeling like a victim of circumstances, you have selected the victim wave. But if you go to sleep feeling the naturalness of your success, you have selected the mastery wave. You are the king in the warehouse. You have been given the keys to the kingdom, which is nothing more than your own human imagination. Stop trying to make things happen in the world of shadows. Step back into the light of the quantum field. See the infinite versions of your life stretching out before you like a gallery of masterpieces. Walk up to the one you desire. Touch it. Feel the texture of it. Claim it as your own. The selection is made. The wave is collapsing. The warehouse has delivered. You are not becoming you are. Everything you seek is already here, waiting for you to simply acknowledge its presence. The observer effect, collapsing the wave of reality. My friends, we come now to the very heart of the mystery, the mechanism by which the invisible becomes visible. In the old world, we were taught that we were mere victims of circumstance, that the world was a cold, hard place existing independently of our thoughts. But the giants of quantum physics, men like Heisenberg, Bohr, and Schrödinger, discovered a truth so radical that it echoes the deepest spiritual laws of the ages. They discovered the observer effect. They found that, at the subatomic level, the very act of looking at a particle changes its behavior. They realized that a thing does not truly exist as a solid object until a conscious mind decides to look at it. Before that moment of observation, it is nothing but a probability wave, a ghost-like state of being everywhere and nowhere at once. This is not just a lab experiment, my friends. This is the blueprint of your entire life. Your consciousness is the supreme observer. The world you see when you open your eyes is not fixed. It is a fluid, shifting field of infinite possibilities, and it only hardens into the specific form of your life because of where you choose to place your attention. You are not witnessing a world, you are collapsing a world into existence with every thought you think and every feeling you sustain. The science of the inner eye. Think of the probability wave as a vast, swirling mist of potential. In that mist, there is a version of you who is drowning in debt, and there is a version of you who is swimming in gold. Both are equally real in the quantum field. However, according to the laws of physics, only one of them can collapse into a physical particle at any given moment. What determines which one becomes your fact? It is your observation. If you spend your day observing lack, if you focus on the empty space in your wallet, the rising costs of living, and the impossibility of your dreams, you are literally commanding the quantum field to harden into that reality. You are the observer who is freezing the wave into the shape of a beggar. The field has no choice, it must obey the observer. But the moment you shift your gaze, the moment you stop looking at the shadows of the 3D world and start observing abundance through the inner eye of imagination, you trigger a quantum collapse. You force the field to abandon the state of lack and crystallize into the state of wealth. Attention as the creative act. We have been taught to believe that seeing is believing, but in the quantum realm, believing is seeing. Your attention is the most powerful creative force in the universe. It is the light that shines into the darkness of potential and makes a specific path appear. Neville taught us that attention is the secret of the successful life, and physics now proves why. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, a world is born. When you lie in your bed tonight, you are going to withdraw your attention from the evidence of your senses. Your senses are old observations. They are the results of how you looked at the world yesterday. If you keep looking at them, you will keep collapsing the same reality. Tonight, you are going to look through the senses. You are going to use your imagination to observe a new set of facts. You are going to observe yourself as a person of immense value, a person for whom money is as natural as the air you breathe. As you hold this observation with the feeling of reality, you are literally pulling that possibility out of the mist and into the room with you. You are collapsing the wave of wealth into the particle of your bank account. The trap of the double observation. Many seekers struggle because they try to observe wealth while secretly keeping one eye on their poverty. This is what science calls interference. If you observe abundance for 10 minutes in meditation, but then spend 10 hours observing the reality of your bills, you are sending a confused signal to the field. You are trying to collapse two different waves at the same time, and the result is a static life, a life where nothing ever quite changes. To manifest at quantum speed, you must be single-minded. You must be the observer who refuses to look back. You must be so convinced of your inner observation that the outer world begins to feel like the illusion. When you reach this state, the 3D world has no choice but to melt and reform itself to match your gaze. You are the architect. You are the judge. You are the observer. What you notice is what you authorize to exist, hardening the light into matter. Every solid object in your room is actually just trapped light, energy that has been slowed down and organized into a specific form. What slows it down? What organizes it? Consciousness. Your imagination is the tool that slows down the infinite light of the universe into the matter of your desires. Tonight, do not think of wealth as something you have to get. Think of it as a wave that is already in the room, waiting for you to notice it into existence. Be like the scientist who knows the particle is there, even if he hasn't seen it yet. Stay in the state of observation, dwell in the feeling of being the wealthy version of yourself. As you drift off into the state akin to sleep, you are making your final observation of the day. You are telling the universe, this is what I see, this is my truth. And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, can only say, as you observe, so it shall be. Your attention is the command. Your imagination is the eye of God. Observe your wealth into being, and watch the world collapse at your feet. Quantum entanglement with the wish fulfilled. The secret of the spiritual wormhole, my friends. We arrive now at one of the most breathtaking concepts in all of modern science, a phenomenon that Albert Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. It is the principle of quantum entanglement. In the laboratory, physicists have proven that when two particles become entangled, they remain linked forever, regardless of the distance between them. If you change the spin of one particle on Earth, its partner on the other side of the galaxy changes its spin instantaneously, faster than the speed of light. They are no longer two separate entities. They are a single, non-local system. But what does this mean for you? As you lie in your bed tonight seeking a life of abundance, it means that you possess a spiritual wormhole. You are not a lonely island drifting in time. You are a quantum being, and through the power of your feeling, you have the ability to entangle your current self with any future version of your life that exists in the infinite field of possibility. You do not have to travel to the wealth. You must simply entangle with it, and the law of the universe will pull it into your present experience. The science of non-local connection. In our everyday 3D world, we are taught the lie of separation. We are told that our current bank account is here, and our desired wealth is there, separated by months of time, miles of travel, and mountains of effort. This is the Newtonian illusion. But in the quantum realm, there is no there. Everything is non-local. This means that every version of your life, the one where you are struggling and the one where you are flourishing, is existing simultaneously in the eternal now. Quantum entanglement is the bridge. When you sit in the silence, and you begin to feel the reality of your desire, when you feel the relief of the debt being gone, the weight of the gold on your wrist, or the peace of absolute security, you are striking the note of that specific reality. In that moment of intense, sensory feeling, you are touching that future version of yourself. You are becoming entangled because you have shared the same emotional signature. You and that wealthy reality are now linked. You have created a spiritual wormhole that defies space and time. The feeling as the entangling cord. How do we create this link? How do we ensure the entanglement is strong enough to collapse into our world? The answer is emotion. In quantum terms, your thought is the electrical charge that sends the signal out, but your feeling is the magnetic pull that draws the experience back. Thought defines the target, but feeling entangles you with it. Most people think about wealth, but they feel poor. This creates a disconnect. They are entangling with the wrong particle. To manifest naturally, you must use your imagination to produce the exact emotional frequency of the wealthy you. You must ask yourself, how would I feel if I were already the person I want to be? As you dwell in that feeling, as you let it wash over your body and settle into your bones, the entanglement is sealed. You are no longer waiting for wealth, you are entangled with it. And because entangled particles must act as one, your current world must begin to reflect the wealth of the version you have linked with. Collapsing the space between the spiritual wormhole is the shortcut that bypasses the how and the when. When you are entangled with the wish fulfilled, you don't need to figure out the path, because the path is being pulled toward you. You become a quantum magnet. Events, people, and coincidences that are also entangled with that wealthy state begin to move into your orbit. Think of it like two ends of a piece of string. Your current self is at one end, and your wealthy self is at the other. Usually, we think we have to walk the entire length of the string to reach the goal. But through quantum entanglement, you fold the string in half. You bring the two ends together until they touch. That touch is the feeling you experience in your states when you fall asleep, in the feeling that your wealth is a present fact. You are holding those two ends together. You are bypassing the linear time of the world and stepping directly into the destination, staying in the entangled state. The secret of the master is the ability to stay entangled. The world of Caesar will try to break the connection. It will show you a bill or a slow business day, and it will whisper, "You aren't linked to anything but struggle." If you believe the world you cohere, you break the entanglement with wealth and re-entangle with lack. Tonight, you must be stubborn. You must realize that your internal feeling is a scientific fact of entanglement. No matter what the senses say, you are linked to your abundance. As you drift into sleep, tighten that cord. Let the feeling be so vivid that the room disappears. You are traveling through the wormhole. You are merging with the version of you that is already successful. By the time you wake up, the spiritual wormhole will have done its work. The rearrangement of your world has already begun in the invisible realms. You have linked yourself to a higher destiny, and the universe is now under a divine, mathematical obligation to bring that destiny to your door. You are not alone. You are linked. You are not seeking, you are entangled. Feel the reality, and the reality must find you. Overcoming the time lag illusion, stepping into the eternal now, my friends. We come now to the greatest barrier of the human ego, and the most persistent illusion of the physical world, the concept of time. In our three-dimensional existence, we are slaves to the clock. We see life as a straight line, a grueling march from a past we cannot change, through a fleeting present, toward a future that is always somewhere else. We have been conditioned to believe in wait. We believe that between the seed and the harvest, there must be a long, agonizing delay. But I am here to tell you that in the quantum realm, the true home of your consciousness, time is an optical illusion. There is no then. There is only the eternal now. Quantum physics has begun to pull back the curtain on this mystery. Scientists have discovered that at the fundamental level of the universe, time does not flow in one direction. In the quantum field, the past, the present, and the future are not separate events. They are simultaneous possibilities existing in a single block of reality. The future you desire is not something that is coming. It is something that already is. The time lag you experience is simply the denseness of the physical world catching up to the speed of your spiritual vibration. The illusion of the gap. Why does it seem to take so long for our desires to appear? Think of the stars in the night sky. When you look up, you might see the light of a star that is millions of light years away. That star may have actually died 1,000 years ago, yet its light is just now reaching your physical eyes. The fact of the star's life and the perception of its light are separated by a lag. The same is true for your manifestation. The moment you truly feel the reality of your wealth, that wealth is created in the quantum field. It is a finished fact. It is a done deal in the realm of spirit. The delay you see in your bank account is merely the shadow catching up to the substance. Most people fail because they see the gap, and they believe the gap is real. They say, "It hasn't happened yet." And by saying, "yet," they push the reality back into the future. They keep it at a distance. To manifest at quantum speed, you must close the gap by realizing that there is no gap. You must live in the eternal now. The physics of the present tense, in the quantum field, consciousness is the now. When you enter the state akin to sleep, tonight, you are leaving the world of linear time and entering the world of non-linear possibility. If you think of your wealth as something that will happen tomorrow, you have placed it on a timeline that never arrives, because tomorrow, by definition, is always one day away. You must perform a radical act of temporal collapse. You must take that future wealth and pull it into the immediate present. You do not say, "I will be rich." You say, "I am." You do not feel the coming of the money, you feel the presence of the money. You must occupy the state of the wish fulfilled so completely that the time lag becomes irrelevant. When you are truly in the state, you don't care how long it takes, because in your mind, it has already happened. And ironically, the moment you stop waiting for it is the exact moment it must appear. Speed is not a result of hurrying. Speed is a result of certainty. The senses vest the spirit. The time lag is a sensory illusion. Your physical eyes are slow. They are tuned to the vibration of matter, which is heavy and sluggish. Your imagination, however, is tuned to the vibration of light, which is instantaneous. Tonight, as you lie in the dark, I want you to disregard the evidence of your slow, moving senses. If your senses tell you that you are in a modest room, realize that they are simply reporting old news. They are showing you the results of your past vibrations. They are a delayed broadcast. Your imagination is the live feed. If you can see and feel your abundance now, you are standing in the true reality. You are pre-living your success. By living as if the future has already happened, you are quantum tunneling through the barrier of time. You are short-circuiting the delay. Living as if is a scientific requirement. Living as if is not a psychological trick. It is a requirement of quantum mechanics. To collapse a specific wave, the observer must focus on that specific outcome as a present tense fact. If the observer is waiting for the wave to collapse, the wave remains a wave. It stays in the state of probability. You must be so bold as to walk through your day tomorrow with the inner atmosphere of a person whose miracle has already occurred. Carry the fragrance of the done deal. When you look at a bill, look at it from the perspective of someone who has already paid it 1,000 times over. When you talk to a friend, speak from the state of the person you have become. You are not pretending. You are resonating. You are aligning your vibration with the future now, until the time lag vanishes and the two realities merge into one. The midnight collapse of time. As you drift off tonight, I want you to let go of the calendar. Let go of the when. Sink into the deep, dark, peaceful waters of the eternal now. In this place, you are already everything you want to be. There is no distance to travel. There is no time to wait. Feel the eyes-ness of your wealth. Feel the presentness of your freedom. You are not a traveler on a long road. You are the destination. As you fall asleep in the feeling of, it is done, you are collapsing all timelines into this single moment. You are stepping out of the shadow and into the substance. The wait is over because the time is none. The lag is gone because the spirit is HER. Sleep in the conviction that your future is your current reality. There is no time but this. There is no place but here. You are wealthy now and forever. Tuning the bio-electromagnetic radio, the law of coherent alignment. My friends, we have understood the field, and we have mastered the illusion of time. Now, we must discuss the hardware of the soul. You see, you are not merely a biological entity. You are a sophisticated, bio-electromagnetic broadcasting station. Every moment of your life, you are sending a signal into the quantum field, and that field is duty, bound to return to you exactly what you have broadcasted. But here is the secret that most seekers miss. Your signal is not a single note. It is a dual frequency. Your thoughts are the electrical signal that reaches out, but your feelings are the magnetic pull that draws the experience back to you. If you wish to attract wealth naturally, you must understand electromagnetic alignment. Most people live in a state of incoherence. They think of wealth, but they feel the anxiety of lack. Their radio is broadcasting on two different stations at once, creating nothing but static in the quantum field. To manifest at the level of a master, you must create a coherent signature. You must align the broadcast of the mind with the magnet of the heart until they become a single, irresistible force. The electrical thought, the rocket of intention. The brain is the electrical center of your being. Every time you have a thought, you send a pulse of electricity into the quantum field. Think of your intention as a rocket. When you imagine a specific amount of money, a new home, or a successful business, you are aiming that rocket at a specific coordinate in the infinite warehouse of possibility. However, electricity alone is not enough to manifest. A signal sent out without a pull to bring it back simply travels into the void. This is why positive thinking often fails to produce results. You can think, I am wealthy, 10,000 times a day, but if that thought is not backed by the magnetic power of feeling, the rocket has no fuel to bring the cargo home. The thought is the blueprint, but the blueprint alone is not the house. To build the reality, you must activate the second half of the radio. The magnetic feeling, the gravity of the heart. If the brain is the electrical transmitter, the heart is the magnetic receiver. Science has proven that the electromagnetic field of the heart is up to 5,000 times stronger than that of the brain. It is the most powerful magnet in your body. While your thoughts identify the goal, your feelings are what attract the goal. The quantum field does not respond to what you want, it responds to who you are resonating as. When you feel the reality of your wealth, when you feel the relief, the gratitude and the security in your chest, you are activating the magnet. You are creating a gravity well in the fabric of space-time that pulls the desired particles toward you. But if your heart is radiating the frequency of, "I don't have enough," you are magnetically pulling more lack into your life. No matter how many rich thoughts you think, the disaster of the mismatched signal, this is the great disconnect. Imagine trying to tune a physical radio to 101.1 FM, but the dial for the volume is stuck on 95.5 AM. You will hear nothing but noise. When you think, "I am rich," but feel, "I am poor," you are in a state of bio-electromagnetic incoherence. You are sending a wealth signal out, but you are broadcasting a poverty pullback. The quantum field is confused by your signature. It doesn't know which version of you to collapse into reality. This is why your life feels like a start and stop journey. You take 2 steps toward abundance and 2 steps back into lack. To end this cycle, you must synchronize the 2 centers of power. You must reach a state of coherence. Achieving heart-brain coherence, quantum manifestation requires that the signature be unified. Your thought and your feeling must tell the same story. This is what Neville called thinking from the end. When you think from the goal, your mind and heart are in agreement. As you lie in your bed tonight, do not just visualize money. That is a brain-only activity. Instead, use your brain to set the scene, and then immediately drop that scene into your heart. Feel the emotional weight of the scene. If you see the bank balance, don't just look at the numbers. Feel the moment in your chest. Feel the warmth of safety. Feel the quiet pride of achievement. When the brain sees the wealth and the heart feels the wealth, you have achieved heart-brain coherence. Your broadcast is now a single note of high-intensity power. The quantum field can no longer ignore you. It must respond to the current signature, tuning the dial in the dark. Tonight, in the silence of your room, you are going to tune the radio. You are going to stop the static. First, quiet the electrical chatter of the brain. Let go of the day's worries. Then, broadcast the intention. See the wealth as a present tense fact. Finally, and most importantly, crank up the magnetic volume of the heart. Breathe into your chest until you feel the radiance of having already succeeded. Hold the thought and the feeling together until they merge. You will know you have hit the frequency when your body feels a sudden sense of knowing, a peace that passes understanding. This is the coherent signature. You are now broadcasting at the wealth frequency. The broadcast of the sovereign, the world of Caesar, is merely a shadow of your electromagnetic broadcast. If you don't like what you see in the mirror of your life, do not try to break the mirror. Do not try to change the shadow. Change the broadcast. When you wake up tomorrow, your first task is to check your tuning. If you feel the old static of worry, return to the heart. Realign the signal. You are the station manager of your own reality. You are the one who decides what frequency the universe will play back to you. By maintaining a coherent signature of wealth, you make your manifestation an electromagnetic inevitability. The thought is the signal. The feeling is the pull. The alignment is the key. Tune your radio to abundance. Lock the dial. And let the universe play the symphony of your success, the void of pure potential returning to the 0-point field. My friends, we come now to the most mysterious and yet the most fertile ground in all of creation. We must speak of the void. To the logical mind, the word void suggests emptiness, a cold and hollow nothingness. But to the quantum mystic, the void is the 0-point field. It is a space that is empty, only of form but full, to the bursting point with infinite potential. It is the womb of the universe. In the world of science, This is the state where all fluctuations of energy cease, where the noise of the physical world drops to zero, and where, paradoxically, the power to create becomes absolute. To manifest a new reality, specifically a reality of wealth and freedom, you must first learn how to leave the old reality behind. You cannot remain John, the person with bills and a history of struggle, and simultaneously become the person of immense wealth. The two cannot occupy the same space. Therefore, before the new version can be born, you must enter the void. You must become no body, no thing, nowhere, and no when. You must return to the state of pure, unconditioned awareness. The sacred art of disconnection. We live our lives enslaved to the big three: our bodies, our environment, and time. From the moment we wake up, we are somebody. We are a name, a gender, a profession, and a bank balance. We are surrounded by things, our house, our car, our phone, and we are trapped in time, forever chasing a tomorrow or mourning a yesterday. As long as you are identified with these things, you are locked into your current quantum coordinate. You are tethered to the 3D world. Entering the void is the act of quantum untethering. When you lie in your bed tonight and enter the state akin to sleep, your first task is to withdraw your attention from the 3D world. Close your eyes and feel the boundaries of your body beginning to dissolve. Stop thinking about your name. Forget your problems. Release the memory of your bank account. As you do this, you are moving away from the known and toward the unknown. You are entering the zero-point field. In this state, you are no longer a person. You are pure consciousness. You are the AM that precedes all forms. The power of the zero-point field in physics. The zero-point field is the lowest possible energy state of a quantum mechanical system. It is the ground state. But scientists have discovered that even at this zero level, there is a staggering amount of energy present. It is the background energy of the entire universe. When you bring your mind to this zero point, when you are no longer thinking about things, you are tapping into the source code of reality. Most people try to manifest from a state of high noise. They are stressed, they are hurried, and they are thinking about 1,000 different things. Their signal is lost in the chaos. But when you enter the void, the noise drops to zero. Your interference disappears. From this place of nothingness, a single thought carries the weight of a mountain. A single feeling of wealth vibrates through the entire field with perfect clarity. In the zero-point field there is no resistance. There is no time lag. There is only the immediate power of assumption. The state akin to sleep, the portal to the void. Neville Goddard called this the state akin to sleep, or SATS. It is that hazy, drowsy borderland between waking and sleeping. In this state, the gatekeeper of the conscious mind has fallen asleep, but the architect of the imagination is still awake. This is your portal to the void. As you drift into this state, you must consciously let go of the physical world. If you feel the mattress, see it as a platform of energy. If you hear a sound outside, let it fade into the distance. You are becoming unstuck from the 3D screen. You are becoming a void of awareness. In this emptiness, you are finally free to reprogram your life. You are like a painter standing before a perfectly white canvas, or a programmer standing before a clean line of code. Because you are nothing, you can now become anything. Reprogramming from the no, where, when you have reached the void, when you feel like a point of light in a sea of darkness, now you begin the work of the master. From this state of no thing, you introduce the something, but you do not do it with effort. You do not struggle to see your wealth. You simply invite the feeling. From the void, imagine the feeling of abundance. Since you have no body and no past, in this state, there is no one to tell you that you are poor. There is no memory of debt to contradict you. In the zero-point field you can claim, I am we elchwy, with absolute authority, because there is no John there to argue. You are simply the observer choosing a new wave. As you clothe yourself in the feeling of success while in the void, that feeling becomes the new blueprint for your life. You are seeding the zero-point field with your intention. The return to form. The void is not a place where you stay, it is the place where you go to be reborn. Once you have saturated your awareness with the feeling of your wish fulfilled while in the 0-point state, you can then allow yourself to drift into a natural sleep. You are carrying the seed of your wealth from the void into the world of form. While you sleep, the father within, the subconscious, takes that blueprint and begins the midnight rearrangement. Because you planted the seed in the ground state of the void, it is not hindered by your old beliefs or your current circumstances. It has a quantum velocity that cannot be stopped. You will wake up tomorrow morning still carrying the scent of the void, a quiet, unshakable peace that says, "It is done." Mastering the silence, my friends. The world is loud, and the ego is louder, but the power is in the silence. If you wish to manifest wealth naturally, you must become a master of the void. You must learn to love the no-thingness. You must realize that the nothing is actually the all. Do not fear the darkness of the settees. Do not fear the loss of your small self. The person you are leaving behind is the one who struggled. The person you are becoming is the one who has already won. Step into the void. Leave the rags of your identity at the door. Become pure potential. The void is the womb. Your feeling is the seed. The wealth is the harvest. Enter the 0-point tonight. Become nothing so that you may possess everything. Jumping timelines through radical assumption. The mystery of the quantum leap. My friends, we come now to the most exhilarating truth of the new physics, a truth that shatters the chains of gradual progress and slow growth. We must speak of the quantum leap. In the old, tired world of Newtonian thought, we were taught that change must be incremental. We were told that to get from poverty to wealth, we must climb a long, weary ladder, step by step, year after year. But the quantum physicist has discovered something that the mystic has always known: an electron does not travel from one orbit to another. It does not move through the space in between. It simply disappears from one energy level and reappears at a higher one instantaneously. This is a quantum leap. And this, my friends, is exactly how you change your life. You do not grow into a new version of yourself. You do not prove your way out of debt. You jump. You perform an act of quantum tunneling where you vanish from the timeline of struggle and reappear on the timeline of abundance. This is not done through physical effort. It is done through the power of radical assumption. The illusion of the ladder, the greatest lie of the 3D world, is the ladder of time. We believe that we are trapped on a single track and that we must work our way down that track to reach a destination. This creates a delay in our minds. We think, I will be wealthy when I get the promotion, or I will be free when the market turns. By looking at the steps, we are actually anchoring ourselves to the current timeline. We are observing the distance between us and our desire, and as we have learned, what we observe, we collapse into reality. A quantum leap requires you to throw away the ladder. You must realize that the wealthy you is not at the top of a staircase. He is on a parallel timeline that is vibrating right next to you at this very moment. There is no space between you and your wealth. There is only a difference in frequency. You don't need to go anywhere. You only need to change your internal state so radically that you no longer resonate with your old problems. When you do this, you tunnel through the barriers of your current circumstances and land, fully formed, in a new life. Radical assumption, the jump start. How do we perform this jump? We use the engine of radical assumption. To assume a state is to take it for granted, to act, think, and feel as if it were already a physical fact. But I use the word radical because you must be willing to completely disregard the evidence of your senses. If you look at your bank account and see a zero, and you say, I am wealthy, the world calls you a fool, but the quantum mystic knows that you are a timeline jumper. By radically assuming the identity of a wealthy person, you are changing your energy level. You are telling the quantum field, I am no longer a match for this orbit of lack. Because the universe cannot tolerate a mismatch between your internal frequency and your external reality, It must shift you. It tunnels you out of the old orbit. Suddenly, you find yourself in a new timeline where the coincidences are different, where the opportunities are different, and where the wealth is already waiting. You didn't earn the jump, you resonated the jump. The physics of quantum tunneling. In physics, quantum tunneling is the phenomenon where a particle passes through a barrier that it shouldn't be able to cross according to classical laws. It literally ghosts through the wall. Your walls are your current debts, your past failures, and your limited education. To the world, these are solid barriers, but to the wakened man, these walls are transparent. When you occupy the state of the wish fulfilled with enough intensity, you are tunneling. You are ignoring the solidity of your problems. You are refusing to give them the power of your observation. Instead, you are focusing all your observational power on the timeline where you are already successful. By doing this, you dematerialize from the old timeline and rematerialize on the new one. This is why manifestation often happens in bursts or sudden strokes of luck. It is the physical world finally catching up to the quantum leap you took in your imagination weeks or days prior, leaving the old man behind. The reason most people fail to jump is that they try to take their old self with them. They want the wealth, but they want to keep the habit of worry. They want the freedom, but they want to keep the identity of the victim. You cannot take the old man into the new kingdom. To leap, you must be willing to let the old version of you die. You must stop talking about your struggles. You must stop identifying with your limitations. When you jump, you leave everything behind. You become a new creation. This is what Neville meant by changing your self-concept. You aren't fixing the old you. You are abandoning the old you for a much better model that already exists in the warehouse of the infinite. The midnight jump tonight. As you enter the satis, you are going to prepare for a timeline jump. Do not look for a path from your bed to your millions. Do not try to calculate how the jump will happen. Simply be there. In your imagination, occupy the new orbit. Feel the naturalness of being a person who has already succeeded. Do not visit this timeline. Move into it. Make it your permanent address. As you fall asleep in this radical assumption, you are tunneling through the night. You are vanishing from the timeline of wanting and reappearing in the timeline of having. When you wake up tomorrow, do not look back at the old ledge. Walk with the posture of the jumper. You are on a new track now. The coincidences of the new timeline are already being arranged. The bridge of incidents is forming. You don't need to climb. You only need to leap. Assume the state, and the timeline is yours. The jump is made. The old is gone. The new is here. Disregarding the noises of 3D reality, the art of quantum indifference, my friends, we come now to the ultimate test of the manifester, the place where the dreamer is separated from the master. We must speak of the noises of 3D reality. You see, the greatest hurdle you will face on this journey is not a lack of money, nor a lack of opportunity. It is the persistent, screaming evidence of your physical senses. Most people are sensory slaves. They believe that what they see with their eyes, what they feel in their pockets, and what they read on their bank statements is the absolute truth. But the quantum mystic knows a deeper secret. The physical world is not the truth. It is merely old news. Everything you see in your 3D world today, the balance in your account, the walls of your home, the state of your business, is the after image of your past observations. It is a delayed broadcast. It is the result of what you were collapsing into reality weeks or months ago. To change your life, you must learn the art of sensory deprivation. You must become indifferently blind to the current evidence, looking through the shadow of the present to the light of the quantum possibility, the illusion of the finished fact. In physics, there is a delay between the cause and the effect. Imagine a star that exploded 1,000 years ago. Because of the vast distance of space, the light of that explosion is only reaching your eyes tonight. If you were to judge the state of that star based only on what you see, you would be 1,000 years behind the truth. Your current life is that starlight. It is the echo of your former self. When you look at your lack and you react to it with fear or frustration, you are making a fatal quantum error. You are observing the old news. By reacting to the lack, you are giving it your attention, and as we have learned, what you observe, you collapse. You are effectively ordering another shipment of the same old problems. To manifest wealth, you must treat your current poverty as a ghost, a lingering shadow that has no power to sustain itself once you stop looking at it. The power of quantum indifference. How do we break the cycle of manifesting the same old world? We use quantum indifference. This does not mean you ignore your bills or stop going to work. It means you stop giving those things the power to define your state of being. You must develop a divine disregard for the 3D screen. When the world shows you a no, you must inwardly say, that is just a shadow of my past. My true reality is already wealthy. You are refusing to sink to the level of the evidence. In quantum terms, you are keeping the wave from collapsing back into the old particle. By remaining indifferent to the lack, you are withdrawing the life force from that timeline. It is like unplugging a television set. The image may linger for a second, but it is destined to fade into black because the power source, your attention, has been removed. Sensory deprivation as a spiritual tool. Neville Goddard taught us to shut the door. This is the practice of sensory deprivation. It is the ability to withdraw your consciousness from the noise of the 5 senses so that you can hear the whisper of the imagination. The 3D world is loud. It shouts about recessions, inflation, and scarcity. If you listen to it, you become entangled with it. Tonight, as you enter your state akin to sleep, you are performing a sacred act of sensory deprivation. You are telling the world, for this hour, you do not exist. You are turning off the broadcast of the senses so that you can tune into the broadcast of the soul. In the silence of your mind, you are going to create a scene that contradicts everything your senses told you today. If your senses said, debt, your inner eye sees surplus. If your senses said, struggle, your inner ear hears, it's all settled. You are choosing to believe the report of the Lord over the report of the world. Looking through the shadow, there is a magnificent story of a man who, during a great drought, went out to his dry fields and began to dig trenches for the rain he knew was coming. To his neighbors, he looked like a fool. They saw only the cracked earth and the burning sun. But he was looking through the shadow. He was acting on the quantum truth of the rain, rather than the 3D evidence of the drought. You must be that man. You must dig your trenches in the middle of your financial drought. You do this by making plans for your wealth, by feeling the vibration of abundance, and by maintaining your internal atmosphere, regardless of the outer weather. When you refuse to be moved by the noise, the quantum field is forced to respond to your persistence. It sees that you are no longer a match for the drought timeline, and it must, by law, bring the rain. The midnight silence, as you drift into sleep tonight, make a decree. I will not be hypnotized by the shadows. The world of paper and coins is a theater of effects. You are going to the theater of causes. Ignore the noise. Ignore the old news. If a thought of lack tries to enter your mind, treat it like a telemarketer. Don't even pick up the phone. Stay in the silent knowing of your success. You are the observer who has already chosen a new wave. The physical world is just the last to know. The shadow is fading. The light is breaking. The wealth is already here. Do not look at the world to see if it has changed. Look within to see if you have changed. If the inner view is wealthy, the outer view must follow. The heart, brain coherence, the power of the unified broadcast. My friends, we come now to the biological engine of the miraculous. We have spoken of the field and the illusion of time, but how do we practically bridge the gap between a thought in the mind and a fact in the hand? The answer lies in the sacred alignment of your 2 most powerful creative centers, the heart and the brain. In the world of quantum manifestation, this is known as coherence. It is the state where your vision and your feeling are no longer separate entities, but a single, unified broadcast that pulses through the very fabric of the universe. To manifest wealth with the speed of light, you must move beyond trying to think your way to success. You must learn to synchronize the electrical signal of your brain with the magnetic pull of your heart. When these two are in harmony, you create a coherent broadcast, so potent, so undeniable, that the 3D world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match the frequency you are emitting. This is the secret of the unstoppable signal, the dual nature of the human radio. We must understand the physics of our own bodies. The brain is an electrical organ. Every time you imagine a scene of wealth, seeing a specific number on a screen or a set of keys in your hand, you are sending an electrical charge into the quantum field. You are placing an order at the celestial counter, but as many of you have discovered, thinking about money is rarely enough to bring it into your life. Why? Because the signal is only half complete. The heart is the magnetic center. Scientific research has confirmed that the heart's magnetic field is thousands of times stronger than that of the brain. It is the heavy lifter of manifestation. While the brain provides the direction, the heart provides the power. If your brain is saying, "I am wealthy," but your heart is feeling the contraction of debt, you are in a state of incoherence. You are a divided house, and as the scripture says, a divided house cannot stand. You are sending a signal that cancels itself out. The science of coherence in physics, coherence, describes a state where waves are perfectly in phase. Think of a standard light bulb. Its light is incoherent. The waves are scattered, bouncing in every direction, providing enough light to see a room, but not enough to change the world. Now think of a laser. A laser is coherent light. Every wave is lined up in perfect unison, moving in the same direction at the same time. Because of this coherence, a laser can cut through steel. When your heart and brain are coherent, you become a spiritual laser. Your broadcast is no longer scattered by doubt or anxiety. When the image in your mind is perfectly matched by the feeling in your heart, the waves of your consciousness stack upon one another. This constructive interference amplifies your signal 1,000-fold. You are no longer asking the universe for wealth. You are commanding the quantum field to collapse into the form you have decreed. The heart is the master tuner. How do we achieve this state? It begins by realizing that the heart is the master tuner. You cannot force coherence with your intellect. You cannot will it into existence through mental strain. Coherence is a state of ease. Tonight, as you lie in the state akin to sleep, I want you to shift your awareness from your forehead down into your chest. Breathe as if your heart is doing the breathing. This simple act begins to slow down the brain waves and synchronize them with the rhythmic beating of the heart. Once you feel a sense of warmth or expansion in your chest, only then do you introduce the vision of your wealth. When you see the wealth while feeling the expansion of the heart, the two merge. The order is signed, sealed, and delivered. This is the coherent broadcast. The aha moment of certainty. When you reach heart-brain coherence, something happens to your physical body. You move past hope and into certainty. You experience what I call the ha moment. It is a physical sensation of, it is done. In this state, the brain stops looking for how it will happen, because the heart is already enjoying the fact that it has happened. This certainty is the signal of the sovereign. The 3D world is a mirror. If you are broadcasting, I am trying to get rich, the mirror must reflect, trying. If you are broadcasting, I hope this works, the mirror reflects, hoping. But when you broadcast from a state of heart-brain coherence, the state of I am, the mirror has no choice but to reflect, having. The quantum field is a mathematical system. It cannot argue with a coherent frequency. It must rearrange the minds of men and the events of time to accommodate the king who has spoken. Maintaining the unified field, the challenge is not just reaching coherence in the dark of night, but maintaining the aroma of it in the light of day. The world of Caesar will try to detune you. It will throw static your way in the form of bad news or delays. When this happens, remember your physics. The static is incoherent. It is weak. Your coherent broadcast is a laser. Do not react to the static. Simply return to the heart. Take one deep breath. Feel the gratitude of the done deal and reconnect the brain to that feeling. By doing this, you are collapsing the reality of wealth. You are refusing to let the 3D world break your signal. The midnight broadcast, as you drift off tonight, let your heart and brain have a conversation. Let the brain say, "See this wealth," and let the heart reply, "I feel its reality." Let them dance together until the you that is struggling disappears, and only the coherent signal remains. You are the most powerful broadcasting station in the known universe. You have the vision, and you have the magnet. When you bring them together, you are no longer a victim of fate. You are the master of the quantum outcome. The signal is clear. The broadcast is live. The world is rearranging itself for you now. Feel the harmony. Trust the coherence. Sleep in the victory of the unified soul. The final collapse. The majesty of it is done. My friends, we have reached the ultimate peak of the mountain. We have mapped the field. We have jumped the timelines, and we have tuned the bio-electromagnetic radio of the soul. Now, we come to the most delicate, the most misunderstood, and the most profoundly powerful step of all. We must speak of the final collapse. In the world of quantum mechanics, this is the moment the wave finally settles into a single, solid particle. In the world of the spirit, this is the act of the release. It is the sacred declaration that the work is finished. It is the 3 words that govern the universe. It is done. You must understand that the final act of manifestation is not more work. It is not more efforting, more visualizing, or more hoping. The final act is non-action. It is the Sabbath of the Creator. In the quantum world, forcing a result, clinging to it with a sense of desperation, or checking the clock every 5 minutes, actually creates destructive interference. It keeps the wave in a state of agitation, preventing it from ever landing. In your physical world, to manifest at the level of a master, you must learn the law of least action. You must learn to plant the seed, and then have the spiritual courage to walk away from the garden. The law of least action. Nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. This is the law of least action. A planet does not struggle to orbit the sun. It follows the path of least resistance. A flower does not work to bloom. It simply unfolds because it is its nature to do so. Your manifestation follows the same mathematical law. When you have observed your wealth, when you have entangled with the feeling of abundance, and when you have synchronized your heart and brain, you have already provided the initial impulse. The universe is now in motion. If you continue to try to make it happen, you are signaling to the quantum field that you don't believe it is happening. You are introducing the frequency of wanting, which is a frequency of lack. By the law of resonance, if you broadcast wanting, the universe must reflect back more wanting. To receive the wealth, you must move into the state of having, and the hallmark of having is the total absence of effort. The master's release. Why is it so hard to let go? Because the human ego is addicted to the struggle. It believes that if it isn't doing something, then nothing is happening. But in the quantum realm, the most profound work happens in the silence. Think of a master archer. He defines the target. He draws the bow. He aligns his eye and his heart. But the arrow only hits the mark when he lets go. If he refuses to release the string, the energy stays trapped in the bow, and the target remains untouched. Your release is the moment you say, "It is done." It is the moment you stop praying for and start resting in. You are handing the burden of proof over to the Father within. You are saying, "I have performed the inner act. The outer world is now under a mathematical obligation to follow." This is not a hopeful release. It is a sovereign command. You have authorized the collapse. Now you must get out of the way. The physics of certainty. When you say, "It is done," with total conviction, you are freezing the quantum probability into its final form. Doubt is like heat. It keeps the molecules moving, keeping the reality fluid and unstable. Certainty is like the cold. It slows the molecules down until they crystallize into a solid. By releasing the desire, you are telling the universe that the search is over. You are no longer looking for wealth because you have already found it in the only place it truly exists, in your own consciousness. This certainty acts as the final seal on the manifestation. The quantum field recognizes the signature of completion. It sees that you are no longer a seeker, but a possessor, and the law dictates that the shadow must now match the substance. The midnight surrender. Tonight, as you finish your sats, I want you to perform the final release. Do not drift off into sleep wondering if you did it right. Do not fall asleep wondering how long it will take. Those thoughts are interference. Instead, take one final, deep breath into your heart. Feel the weight of the reality you have created, and then, with a quiet, inner smile, whisper the words, "It is done." Let those words be the final vibration in your brain. You are closing the book. You are turning off the projector. You are trusting that the midnight rearrangement is already underway. By the time you wake up, you must be a satisfied consumer. If the thought of your desire comes up during the day, do not visualize it. Simply acknowledge it with a sense of gratitude. Say, "Thank you, Father, that it is already finished." This, thank you, is the highest form of prayer, for it is the confession that the gift has already been received. The harvest of the release, my friends. The world is waiting for you to stop striving. The quantum field is ready to deliver, but it needs you to hold the space of completion. You have done the work. You have mastered the 10 pillars of quantum manifestation. You are no longer the person who walked into this room. You are a timeline jumper. You are an observer. You are a coherent broadcaster of divine abundance. Now, go to your rest. Let the law of least action take over. The bridge of incidents is forming. The minds of men are being moved. The wealth is already on its way to you, for it is already within you. The wave has collapsed. The particle is fixed. The miracle is born. It is done. It is done.